Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Who knows where you're listening from? Welcome to this wonderful session where I and normally Kelly, but she's a bit under the weather today, will be interviewing and just extracting all the goodness out of one of the members of our community, a tried and trusted person in our community. So I'm going to be chatting to Nick a little bit later about what 2023 has in store for us according to Chinese astrology and why that matters to you as a speaker, author, and coach. But before I do that, I'm going to kick us off. I know most of you have been watching the replays. I know that some of you are here live. Please do say hello because that would make us all very, very happy. But some of you, whether you're watching on the hashtag replay, let us know, or whether you are watching live right now, tell us the buzz in your business. I'm going to ask Nick his in a second, and then I'm just going to delve in with some questions. So here comes the buzz. So, Nick, I'm going to hand it over to you. Certainly, just to let us know what's actually kind of the buzz in your business. And then for all of you out there, do type it into the comments and we'll have a good look.
Yeah, well, I love that. I love that. Well, I think the buzz in my business is currently this New Year, Chinese New Year content. It's just a stupendous, energetic start to the year. So that's what I think. I think this is my 12th or 13th conversation about it, and I've got another 3 or 4 this week still to go.
Wow. Which means we're getting you somewhere in the middle. So we're getting all the juicy bits that are now coming out as people have more questions. And that's an open invitation, by the way, to everybody who's watching, again, live or not. Please do bring us your questions, whether it is right now or indeed when you watch this, and tag either Nick or myself, and we'll sort of go from there. So the buzz in our business, Kelly and I have really seen out last year, and we are now really set to kind of build Changemaker Central into a little bit more. We've got some ideas behind our Changemaker playbook, which is the way in which we help all of our speakers, authors, and coaches to really organize the year. So we're going to be doing quite a few things over the next little while, as well as, of course, for those of you who are fairly new to us, we're doing all of this hashtag replay series that is still kind of ongoing. So we've got about 200 or so trainings, past trainings, of which Nick also has one. So I am going to put a link into the first ever one that we did, which is talking about vitality test, but you can tell people about that in a moment. But all of those trainings are there and available inside the Connection Hub. So if you're watching this on the Speaker Insight page, join us inside the Connection Hub, because there is a wealth of resources and opportunities for you to really do the speaking, the coaching, the writing that you want to do. So do come and join the community. It is on track for the year, but I'll leave that as a little intrigue frame. Whilst Nick, I'm going to hand it over to you. You're obviously no stranger to Kelly and I. We've known you for years and years and love you, and I've watched umpteen of these, and which is why I wanted everyone to just have a slightly different perspective on the year now that we're a month into 2023. But officially my year really doesn't start until the Chinese New Year starts. It kind of gives you a month off and just to consolidate everything, which is great. But you're no stranger to us, and for those of you who don't know Nick very well, I'm going to invite you to just tell us a little bit about yourself, tell us about the vitality test, and then everything that got you into this. So I'm just going to hand it over to you.
Oh, that's a dangerous tactic, but I sure respect everyone's time. So my background is Chinese medicine, Chinese philosophy, and this is in fact I've been doing this for 42 years this year, my 42nd year of doing it. I practice as an acupuncturist, herbalist, and I conducted over 50,000 one-on-one consultations. I had a 2-year waiting list to work with me, and one of the things I was really noticing within that is, although it was meant to be preventative medicine, it wasn't really. And actually the stuff I do now, which is looking at the architecture of our life, how we live it, how we interact with ourselves, how we interact with others, has a far more important. It has a far more significant impact on how our health is and how our well-being is and what it is that we're able to do. So I had a very big health center which I sold. I gave away my practice. I basically just got rid of everything. I had this massive practice. I just gave it to someone. I sold the health center, pulled out of everything in order to not be tempted to go back into it again, because I wanted to do this stuff and these sorts of conversations. So
it's a tough choice, but I love that you made it.
Yeah. It's just recognizing if you love something and then you get scared, it's easy to go back to something you really love. And it's and what I did was I created the vitality test, which is a way to understand who you are, how you interact with other people. And I started the 5 Institute, and the 5 Institute is about internal and external cultures. How do we live with ourselves and how do we live together? And the vitality test is an online tool, completely free, that assesses the balance of 5 energies within you, and that's like your energetic blueprint. Ancient Chinese believed that when we came to Earth, we made a promise to do something or be something or explore something, and your vitality test is kind of an expression in a way of that and what you're here to do. And of course, when we are here to do something, explore something, we've got some lessons around that. That thing that we've come to do, it might be learning to love yourself, or it might be learning to be brave, or it might be learning to do difficult things, or so there's lots of aspects around that. So and I run various different programs, monthly membership, you're a member of This Vital Life, and I just have a good time doing the stuff that's quite difficult to do. It's dealing with the tricky stuff, which I'd have fun, as you do. We're very similar. You could be my younger sister, really, I think.
I suspect that we are peas in some pod somewhere in that way. It is really interesting to just hold a space, sort of. We obviously do so within Changemaker Central, sort of we help speakers, authors and coaches to build a business on their terms. But for us, that's actually about the community that supports itself, as you grow things, because as you say, it isn't easy. None of this is easy. This life thing isn't necessarily easy, but it doesn't mean it can't be fun. And it doesn't mean it can't actually, that we can't approach it, the challenge of living, with that beautiful sense of challenge rather than it being hard. The challenge is actually how do I thrive and actually still follow my heart and do the thing that I'm here to do, exactly as you're saying. And particularly, in the Connection Hub, the people who are attracted to our sort of our nature of people, we have a really good natured bunch of 13,000 plus people who are all hungry to make their difference in the world in a really positive effect. And I think that's why I really wanted you to kind of come and share some of the wisdom that you share every Chinese New Year. So, sort of like, so I'm just going to hand it back over to you so that people can actually think about whatever stage of the business that they're at, whether you're scaling, whether you're just starting up, it actually doesn't matter, because there is an energy to this year, isn't there, that is kind of coming into play, but it's contextualized into a slightly wider arena. So I'm just going to hand it over and let you educate us, and then feel free. I've got Richard in York watching, I've got Gina watching sort of elsewhere, so people are beginning to sort of just say where they're kind of watching from. If you hear anything that Nick says and you want him to explore a little bit more, just type it in for me and I'll kind of field some of that. But tell us a little bit about this year we're stepping into, the Water Rabbit. What's that all about?
The Water Rabbit, yeah. Before I do that, I'm just going to go back to something that you just said, and this idea of that life can be hard, life can be difficult, or there can be certain challenges, different things going on. And I think that's true, but some of them are some, and we can talk about this later, but some of them are some confusion and some assumptions. And some of us work this out and some of us haven't. But a confusion or an assumption or truth that's given out is you should treat people the way that you want to be treated. Treat people the way that you want to be treated. And I can't think of anything more stupid that as a suggestion to treat someone the way that you want to treat it. Well, should we not treat them the way that they want to be treated, which might be fundamentally different from how you want to be treated? And that's one of the things that the vitality test is really good at doing. And I wrote a book called The Art of Kind and Flowing Relationship. It's looking at trying to challenge that idea that, so I think some of the things can be really, really hard if we're following known truths, like treat others the way that you want to be treated. Anyway, that's just an aside as a thing. Should we hop onto the water rabbit conversation?
Well, we shall. I actually want to jump in there just once, just because. And for those of you who are familiar with us here inside the Changemaker sort of environment / the Connection Hub environment, for exactly that reason, there is a tool, one of the guides that we've actually got, and it's number 15 on the list, called the 4 Intentions, which is actually all about being able to not be in your own shoes, but actually think and be in the shoes of another. And that's exactly why we invented that kind of tool and methodology. Or, you know, sort of I really sat with, how do I help somebody actually be not exactly the way that they normally are, but actually be respecting enough of someone to be able to step into their shoes and relate at a much deeper level as a result. So I'll pop that link in there after we're done with this as well, so that you've got that. Now let's tell everybody about it. By the way, out there, you can see that Nick and I have spent a lot of time together, and so you're just going to have to deal with our meanderings. I promise there's juice in it.
Okay. Each of the Chinese years has got a number of components to it. It's got the animal that's associated with the year and has certain characteristics and qualities to it, and then it's also associated with one of the 5 elements, one of the 5 energies, and that has certain qualities to it. And that will give you the energy of the year. But like you said, it's sitting in a bigger context about what's come before and what's coming, and the bigger context in terms of where we are within society's evolutionary development. So currently we're in a water rabbit year, and these years occur once every 60 years. So the last time we're in a water rabbit year was 1963.
Right.
So will this be the same as 1963? No, not exactly, but it will have some similarities. And once you spot the patterns, you go, okay, that's why that happened then. That's why it's likely to happen here. And this is the point of it. This is what it's really about. So I think the first thing to say about this year is it's the first year for the last kind of 3-4 years in which we actually have a chance to kind of go outwards, to kind of go out into the world. I was talking about in 2019 that we're about to have a phase of going inwards. We've got metal energy. Metal is related to autumn, to fall. That's about disconnection. It's about isolation. It's about loss. It's about and we moved into a phase of a number of years that was all about isolation, loss, detachment, etc., and dealing with some stuff around like that. In 1960, they were resolving the loss from 2 world wars. We didn't have 2 world wars. Most of us didn't have world wars, but we were given another experience around loss and isolation, and fundamentally trying to work out what matters to us and what doesn't matter to us. And that's what that. So we've been having a lot of introspection, reflection, and quite a lot of trauma, really. But it's been an inward movement. So this is the first year where it says, okay, now go outwards. Now go outwards. However, we're going outwards with trauma and discomfort from having had those last 2 experiences. So
we were having a discussion about this sort of in a little huddle that we were in the other day, just around okay, I know we can go out networking. I know we can go out and kind of see people and everything, but actually I'm sort of choosing not to. I feel almost safer in some way, or some people were feeling, not necessarily true for me, but some people were definitely saying, you know, actually, I think I've forgotten how to do that. And I'm a bit wary still of doing that. So I really get what you're saying there.
Yeah. So we have a kind of outward inward journey this year. And so that's a kind of a duality to this year, outward inward journey. So this is something I was told very, very clearly not to do. And I have completely ignored it and decided to do it anyway. And that was, I think one of the things we need to do is, if you're someone, as I have been at times, feeling very deeply broken, and well, I don't refer to it as broken, I refer to it as being rearranged. The last few years has rearranged me, but it's left a trauma, it's left imprints, it's left something. So myself and a number of other people within the 5 Institute thing, we're starting what's called the big conversation. And it's a conversation to explore and resolve some of the imprints or some of the impact that resulted as a result of COVID lockdown or your experiences. The idea is not to relive it, but to, do I need to now reinvent myself, or do I need to reclaim? We're doing all the re's. Do I need to reimagine my future? Do I need to rejoice that I got through? Do I need to repurpose that experience and turn it into something that will be useful for others? So what are we going to do with that? And some of us, I think, need to do that, and that's part of what we're resolving this year. And some of us don't need to do it. And so I think that there is a duality of inward looking and outward looking.
Well, it's interesting because, of course, with all the speakers, authors, and coaches that we've got here, we are all the facilitators, exactly as you've kind of following the energy and just saying, okay, well, how do we create a space for that conversation to happen? We are all individually, every person watching this in some way is a person that, or for someone that facilitates that whatever it is, for everyone. So even that is quite a good reason to be listening and actually going, oh, how do I join that conversation and or start my own, right?
And we're designing it in a particular way that it's scalable and repeat. It's completely free, people join it, but the idea is for it to be scalable. Here's something that you can use with your people to help them through, understand what went on, and then help them to reclaim, reinvent, rejoice. We've got something like, I think it's about 20 or 30 re's that you've got possibilities of doing. But anyway, that's something that I think in our industry and our world we should be really, really aware, is that many people have this big drive to go out there and do something, but it's in the context of a trauma or tiredness. One of the things I refer to it as the tired revolution. Lots of people are really fed up with the way that things are. They don't want it in this way. They say, look, things really need to change, but I'm also tired. We're tired of the way it is. So again, lots of people are facilitating other people within a tired revolution. So so the big conversation, I think, is a really, really important thing. But let's look specifically at this year. So it's got the duality going on. So water energy, every energy is related to a season, and that's in a way quite a good way to look at it. And water energy is related to winter, and in winter we kind of live with the consequences of our actions. So in the ancient China, if you didn't plant your crops, if you didn't look after them, you didn't harvest them, then winter is the time of starvation and hardship. Or in winter, you don't have the right clothes on. It's very cold and very harsh and so it has consequences. But it also has good consequences. If you have you planted crops, you look after them, you harvest them, then you have good consequences. And you'll often find that strong water energy years, like last year was a water energy year, this year there's often some economic consequences, like an economic winter or a recession or something like that, where we're given consequences. of certain things, but they're also a time to reflect and learn and say, okay, I need to do things differently. So you come into the next season looking at things differently, but there are consequences that are playing out, and those consequences could be fantastic. The consequences could be that you have spent the last 5, 6, 7 years really honing your craft, understanding it, getting your message, working out who it is you work for, getting all the different things that we know you have to have in place if you're going to be a helper building your car. And the consequences are that this is an absolutely magnificent time to be out there in the world doing your stuff.
Right.
This consequence is, and it is phenomenal. So if you're someone that has been doing that work, then there is no better time than this to be out there and doing it. The consequences play out. There is a massive need, etc.
Yeah,
but it's not. It's not black and white. There might be some things you haven't dealt with, like you haven't dealt with your confidence issues. You haven't dealt with this, yeah, and that has consequences. So this is a year to deal with the things you haven't dealt with.
You need to go and do a little bit of tidy up around the rough edges that might actually kind of come at play. But I'm also assuming that, you know, if we are going outward and we've been used to being inward in that duality sort of way, actually doing the action. Hey Sam, thank you for saying we're both doing great, which is wonderful. Nice to see you here, Sam. You know, sort of, I think there's something about, we almost do need that feedback response mechanism of when we go outward, it'll trigger potentially. And so just even operating with the awareness of, oh, I'm out, this has happened, I'm having a slightly irrational response, but actually maybe it's just the energy of the year that actually goes in there, right?
It's just giving us feedback. And a little bit later, we're going to talk, I think it'd be worth talking about what I call rabbit traps. Little traps that kind of get you with
rabbit traps. I'm enjoying that.
And I'll just mention one of them now because it's relevant, really relevant. It's pertinent to the conversation. I won't go into the energy of it because it's more complicated, but there is something going on around perfection at the moment. Okay, and you were on the masterclass, and we looked at what drivers were, but just know there's something going on around perfection. So one of the games that we're going to be playing this year in our work that we do is finally getting down to dealing with this idea of it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be out there. And there's a drive to have it perfect. That's the rabbit trap, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So And this year has this whole duality of how can something be perfect and imperfect at the same time. And one of the things I really like for this is the Icelandic word for perfection. So the Icelandic word for perfection is fullkommen. I'm pronouncing it bad, it's fullkommen. And what that translates as is fully present. So the question is, am I fully present? And that is perfection. And that's what we're really being asked to do. And the other thing I think is really important to remember is if you look at and you see these phenomenally successful people that do the stuff that we think, oh my goodness, that's amazing. I do one-to-ones with loads of really, really successful people, and they're really quite broken in many, many areas. So you don't have to get all your shit together and make yourself perfect to be highly successful and make a phenomenal difference. Maybe I love that saying that God doesn't call the qualified, God qualifies the called. And it is a matter of this whole idea is we really don't need to perfection. However, what we do need to do is be out there and having a go. And maybe that involves us dealing with perfection and whatever. So perfection is a rabbit trap. So we have water energy.
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt there for a second. I just love that reframe. And I think, you know, sort of, we work with a lot of people who hesitate in getting their stuff out there because it's not perfect yet. So I love this idea of an invitation to, wait, have you been fully present as you've been making the thing? Can you be fully present as you're delivering the thing? That's going to take my coaching to a whole new level. Nick, thank you so much.
That's all that's all we're meant to be exploring. Can I be here and present?
It's beautiful.
And I want people to hold that thought about being present and staying in the game. Because when we look at the rabbit, there's a rabbit trap there. So water energy, consequences. What have you been doing for all these years? The consequences are you've been doing a lot. You've been learning and teaching. Will it be perfect? No. But this is absolutely your time. Water energy is also has an issue around sustainability. So this will be a year to really work out, okay, if I do this, can I also do it and be fully out there, enjoy it, and it's sustainable? How do I design and build things so it's both? And that's what we're exploring this whole year. Can I have both, fully out there and sustainable? Fully out there and not perfect. Fully out there, scared, but having fun. Fully out there. and that's the dance this year. It's that both duality. And one of the things we've had in the last few years is we've had horrific separation of things into, you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, you're pro-vaccine, you're anti-vaccine. And it's a polarized, and the game this year is, what if both things could exist at the same time?
Nice.
I'm in and out, and this and that. And that's the dance that we're trying to do. And that's what they were trying to do at the beginning of the 1960s.
Right.
When you had the civil rights movement. You had university and college for people that were black, and university and college, you had separation of this. And then they said, okay, what if we tried to put that together and they could both exist at the same time? Does change make people scared of two things existing at the same time? Have you got to resolve differences? Yeah, absolutely. But maybe that's the work we're here in our work. That's what we're here to do. So you're working with relationships, or you're working with teaching, or how can you have two things existing at the same time? That's the game. That's the ultimate game for this year. And the final thing, I think, so it's one of the things. I've got a program I'm starting in February called Energetic Superpowers and Heroic Actions. Okay. And one of the things that we look within that is, what structure have you designed that allows two things to exist? Because it's everything is architecture, everything is design. So does your design allow two things to exist? So I have lots of wood energy, which is about freedom, and I have lots of earth energy, which is about community. So one part of me wants total and utter freedom of expression and freedom, independence, and the other part of me desperately loves and enjoys communities. So how can I have freedom and how can I have my community at the same time? So both parts of me feel really very, very happy. So my monthly membership, as you know, is being designed to allow both these things to exist at the same time. And that's the game. And again, that's the game that we're playing.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because Kelly and I talk a lot. You know, when we set up Speaker Insight, we really do mean, you know, sort of like, it's so that we can help speakers, authors, and coaches build a portfolio business, i.e. not just one thing, but a blend of all of it, because you're message makers and thought leaders at the end of the day, but actively on your terms. And for us, you know, sort of, so I love this idea of, I am structured in a certain way. You and I are very similarly structured. So, you know, our love of community, but our love of freedom is almost part of that dance that goes on. But on your terms means that you are building the business model. You know, we talk about kind of being a proud change maker as part of building a sustainable, profitable, portfolio style business that has a product range that serves you, so that you are using your time, energy, resources, money, and skills in a way that actually allows that to happen. So knowing your structural composition, and by the way, all of you can go and take the vitality test. I've popped the link in for all of you. It's a really useful thing to know, in addition to what Nick is teaching us all about the year right now. So it's a wonderful thing to know that we can be in charge of knowing who we are, and then structuring our lives and our businesses and our message giving, our influencing around that, right?
Yeah, and that's why I love what you and Kelly do, because it is that aspect of on your own terms, and that's the get. That's the game. Then the final thing about water energy is it's the only the 5 energies, 5 elements, is the only one that leaves its mark on the earth. You think about the Grand Canyons, the valleys that have been carved by glaciers. So in a water energy year, last year was, and this year is, it's about, what am I going to leave behind that's beyond me in my existence? And it is a year to explore that. And there are traps within that, etc. And how do I do that sustainably? And how do I do that? But it is a year to say, I've been waiting all this time to really leave a mark. This is a great year. This is a fantastic year to do that. Then if we move to the rabbit, which is the other side of this, and rabbits have a number of qualities to them. The first one is they're highly social, community-based creatures. So this is the first community year we've had for 4 years. Every other year has been very solitary. Rats, although rats can be in big communities, are ultimately quite solitary, as are roosters, as are tigers, and etc. So this is the first very community-based, and rabbits are really community-based. That's their strength. Their strength within the community is that they deal with danger by being out together in a community. One of them sees something, and everyone then becomes alert to it. So there's an interconnected aspect around our safety within the community and within numbers. And every energy has an emotion to it. Water energy is fear. So this is a great year to deal with your fears. This is a great way to deal with your fears within a community. So last year was a tiger year. Deal with your fears by being tigerish and being brave in your own right. This year is deal with your fears by being a part of a community and having cheerleaders that cheer you along. So rabbits are very community. A rabbit trap, a danger is that rabbits are highly sensitive, highly intuitive, observant, alert, considered to be quite lucky. And so we have lots of opportunities to be really observant and alert and intuitive and following our path and really tapping into that. However, that sensitivity, rabbits, when they get scared, they just disappear underground. They just go.
Go into hiding.
So that is a rabbit trap that there will be. When I talk about these years, I tend to give like 3 guidelines, and one of the guidelines is like, be brave, stay above ground. Just stay above ground and stay connected. If you're in your community, you're more likely to stay above ground. That sensitivity, if you're trying to do it alone, will go. You're likely to start hiding with that sensitivity. Particularly if you haven't dealt with some of the imprints and some of the trauma and some of the difficulty of the last few years. So that is a thing that we do have to watch out for. That, I'm going to hide, because we've had 2-3 years of training to hide away.
Right. Yeah. So we need to unlearn how to be kind of in the shadows almost. And we need to be brave, as you say, to just kind of go out there and stay out there, but to use our support networks, whatever that is, to use our communities to support us in doing that.
And that kind of links back to that aspect around sustainability. If you have not designed things in a way that are sustainable to you, you will become tired. If you become tired, you will want to go underground.
Right. Yeah.
So,
or under the duvet.
Or under the duvet or something. Yeah, I'm not saying we're all going to kind of disappear. And then the other thing I think is really important about kind of rabbit years is we have multiplication. Things multiply.
Right.
So whatever you do will multiply. It's a great year for lots of things to happen. Oh, I'm going to do this and do this, multiply. Yeah. Can you do that sustainably?
Right.
Can you do that? And again, that's a dance, and that comes down to the architecture and the design. So I think you can start to get the same themes running. Can I multiply and do lots of things, and can I do it sustainably? Can I show up and can I do it sustainably? Can I be like,
and that's a really interesting one. So we run a hashtag Ask Us Anything inside Changemaker on a Monday, and one of the questions that comes up more than anything is that impulsive thought of, oh, I've had a great idea for a product, I could do this, and then Kelly and I come in with our, and in 6 months' time, can you see yourself still having the energy to sustain it in the way that you're actually doing it? Because, when we start something, the idea is always really exciting. Then you've got that period of development. Then you've got the actual ongoing and maintenance thing. And it's really about helping people think through all of that, especially in light of the fact that we're maybe not as used to seeing people or being out there for as long as we're actually out there. So we may not have the energy reserves. And I know that's a big part of this as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And how do we make, and it's getting us to deal with our stuff. So it's a phenomenal year to dance and play with that stuff. Like I said, you've got this history. Yeah, absolutely. You've got this history. You're bringing it into the fourth, and then the third thing I think is really important about this year, and it's like a combination of the water energy and the rabbit. You combine them together, and it's a year where we're asking to or exploring reuniting our actions with our heart and our soul's calling. So that's that leaving your mark on the earth. So what are you really here to do? And is that just actions, or is it something that actually feels right? So it's that sensitivity gets us to really kind of actually, what? To hell with all that other stuff. This is what I really want to do. This is what makes my heart sing. This is what really, really matters. And this is what I want to go forth and do. And every energy is related to a different part of the body. Fire energy is related to the heart and our passion. It's about having fun. So it's going forth, having fun, and kind of multiply. Just go forth, have fun, and multiply. It has to be having fun, and your fun is your fun. Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Your fun might be spending hours by yourself designing little products, and that's your fun. Or it might be at a big network event, and it doesn't matter. It's your fun, but you're meant to be having fun with this. You think rabbits? They go doom, 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 doom. Oh, this is great. This is great. This is great. And then that needs to be sustainable as well. So it is that fascinating dance.
I love this idea of be more rabbit. Sort of like it's just be more rabbit.
Be more rabbit. Last year we were meant to be more tiger, and we had lots of stuff. Lots of stuff around that of who has authority, who has power, who's taking power, who's trying to control. There was lots of that power games being played around that. This is different, lighter energy, but with a duality that we're exploring. But ultimately, it's leaving your mark on the earth and making a difference. And this year, just like in 1963, 64, we get to decide how the world will be for the next 60 years.
Yeah.
So
which is quite a big legacy in itself.
It's a big legacy in itself. So do we deal with that duality of difference? Can we nail it? It kind of was done a bit in the 60s and then it separated. Can we really deal with it this time round? Can we have change? So there's lots of, and in the masterclass where I talk about this, there's lots of bigger pictures that are kind of going on. But I want to mention, before we run out of time, I just want to mention one rabbit trap. I mentioned about.
I was going to say, like, don't just do one. Like, set us up for the year, Nick. Like, take the time to set us up for the year.
So the rabbit traps. You've got the stuff around perfection. You've got the stuff. Am I really broken? Sustainability. Then I think the other one I think is really interesting is in rabbit year, in this phase, what we're going to see in this phase this year is we're going to see plot twists. That's what I'm calling them, plot twists. And if you think about rabbits, what they're doing is they're running along and they go, whoop, they suddenly change direction. So where did that go? And dogs, you know what I mean? Other creatures don't do that. They go, they do, but this literally goes boom, and really fast and completely suddenly change direction. So there will be plot twists. And there will be plot twists in context of what we're trying to do. So right at the beginning of this, so 1963, the plot twist at the end of the year was JFK was assassinated.
Of course.
Plot twist. So what are plot twists designed to do? Well, in films and books and television programs, what they're designed to do is plot twists designed to make you go, oh, hang about a sec. I wasn't expecting that. It's designed to wake you up. It's designed to make you think. It's designed to make you curious. It's designed to make you grow. So the plot twist and the tragedy was, obviously for him and anything, but the plot twist was at the end of that rabbit year, that AFK was, okay, here we have a world leader who we are recognizing as being very powerful, being very holding on to that thing. We're going to relinquish some responsibility to him for how the world will be. And the plot twist was, no, you're not. This period of time is about you taking power about how you want the world to be. It's not about how we give it to someone, how we give it to someone else.
Yeah.
And that was what, because this isn't about a power to an individual, it's the power of the collective. Because that's what this phase of humanity evolution is about, is the power of the collective. And that's what they were exploring in the 1960s. So the plot twist, let's remove just the same. Malcolm Gladwell talked about when Barack Obama was no longer president. He suddenly thought, oh my God, I've lost someone who I gave authority and power to hold the sensible conversation and the sense. So that would be the plot twist.
Yeah.
Now what? There is a plot twist. So this year, we started out straight away in the rabbit year with a plot twist.
Yeah.
We had Jacinda Ardern step down as New Zealand Prime Minister. And I think, personally, I feel she's the only world leader I saw out there that I deeply respected as a world leader. And she's suddenly just gone. Yeah. And why has she gone? She said, I went away and I reflected water energy. I have no reserves. It's not sustainable. And I have, for my own good of me, I have to get more balance and I have to step down within it. That was a plot twist. But the plot twist was, okay, we've lost our world leader, but we've had a model as to how it should be. Compassionate, kind, caring, considerate. She stepped down because it's not sustainable for her anymore. And she's honest enough to say it isn't. So we've got honesty, sustainability, plot twist. So there will be plot twists in your life. Yeah. So you think, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. Plot twist, you can do it slightly differently. So, oh, but I wanted to do it this way and I'm fixed. No, the plot twists are designed to make us flexible. And to again, that's that design between, I have a clear plan, and if it changes, I'll adapt and I'll change. And how will we manage to do that? So there will be, I think that's a really important rabbit trap. There will be plot twists. Don't be too fixed. They're there to help you. They're to make you grow, show you consequences, etc.
Yeah, you know, and I love it. One of the best things I was ever taught, like a long time ago now, simple sentence is simple awareness is often curative. You know, so
Yeah.
just even knowing you saying this. So for anybody having watched this, you know, when the plot twist happens, because that's the power of a plot twist, you don't actually know it's going to happen until it happens. You know, but actually just that simple awareness of, if I'm walking around going, hey, this could change at any minute, one, that has a really amazing kind of creative invitation in it around, I've made this up so far, what else am I going to make up when the plot twist happens? And knowing that you have that resilience. And I think, again, as speakers, authors, coaches, as thought leaders and kind of tree shakers, as I like to call you all, it's that whole, what have I actually got in me and around me, community, but also that power of self that allows me not only to deal with this, but to actively make good of this. I turn it into one of those good consequences that you're talking about. That's a piece of gold right there, Nick. Thank you very much.
But one of the things that you made an assumption there was that plot twists would be uncomfortable, hard, or difficult. Well, what happens if the plot twist is you're developing this product, you're trying to promote it, and the sudden plot twist is you get invited on the Oprah Winfrey show and she says, hey, by the way,
yes,
you know what I mean? The plot twist could be that, and one of the things that we kind of look at is the different programs, and we're doing in the energetic super, is energetic architecture, and there is an energetic architecture of possibilities. So there is a possibility that anything could happen, and this is the year where anything could happen. And the plot twist could be, oh my goodness, that was much easier than I thought. So they are designed to wake us up. But if you think about in a film, you have a plot twist and everyone turns around and go, did you see that coming? No, well, what do you think this means? I think it is. And so there's a community aspect that really helps with plot twists and is it is magical. You suddenly think, oh my goodness, how did I suddenly get all this so quickly? So I was not expecting to suddenly have this, an agent or a this or a that or whatever.
Roll my dreams.
Yeah, there is a certain view. I mean, one of the things I think we should watch out a little bit for is there will be plot twists in terms of pregnancies. Could be a plot twist.
Eek.
Obviously not for me.
For me, I think we're all okay.
But it could be things.
But it could be an amazing thing.
Your life. It's fantastic. I wasn't expecting that. And where did that come from?
And you know, sort of like as a theme song, I wasn't expecting that. Is a really good, you know, sort of way. And I love that you are just highlighting that assumptive kind of piece that goes in there around, you know, we tend to expect things to be bad in inverted commas, you know, because we set ourselves up for the dealing with something. And actually, what if I set myself there's a thing in Access Consciousness which says, interesting point of view that you've got that point of view, you know, sort of like, which is what if it was just an optimistic thing? What if it was and what else is possible? That is my favorite question, right? You know, and what else is possible? Yes. So when I say to a lot of our people, there's a you know, make that list of the 10, 25 top podcasts you want to be on that in your wildest dreams you wouldn't actually kind of think of. It's that kind of element that actually goes, and what would happen? You know, my other favorite coaching question is, and what would happen if you added a naught to the price of that program, to the revenue you've taken this year, to the profit, to the whatever? What would happen if you had a naught? What would need to change? What would need to what would that mean for you in some way? These are really expansive and wonderful kind of questions that's in there. So someone's just said, I've just caught the end. Fascinating stuff, and now I need to watch from the beginning. One piece of business advice I heard years ago is, are you ready for a boost in your business if you have the Oprah call? And I love that. You're ready for a boost in your business if you had the Oprah call. I don't know who you are at the moment, but I'll go and name you. I'll go and find out who you are in a moment. but that's really good. So Nick, just as a kind of wrap up,
and just say, it is more likely that the plot twists are exciting and pleasant and fun if you're in that space of fun and pleasantness. So enjoy this. And then plot twists are more likely. I mentioned two really difficult ones, but they're more likely to be the agent, the radio, the this, the that. It's more likely to be the exciting stuff, to be honest.
Yes, thank you. And we'll have some more now, please. Thank you very much. That's great. It was Philippa who actually sort of said about the Oprah call. So I'm just honoring that because it's a really, really great kind of one to put us in that mind of how do I handle a plot twist? Actually, what if I just did a little bit of imagining kind of pre-plot, but not that we can actually make it up. But I was always told, if you're going to make up a story, make it a good one.
Yeah, love that.
That's really where it sits. So I do want to kind of wrap up just with, I know you've kind of hinted at it, and I know it's going to be helpful for some. So what are you working on at the moment? What's 2023 kind of about for you?
Okay. So I've had in my mind for about the last 10 years to run this program. And I kind of been mulling it over, and I've decided that a while back that this was a really good year to run it. So it's a new program, and it's called Energetic Superpowers and Heroic Actions. And it's a 5-week quest. And the idea is they say, okay, well, what are my superpowers? What am I really here to do? And what would be a heroic action for me to take? And then what stops me? And I talk about having a mountain of confusion and assumptions is kind of what often stops us. And the idea is that we identify your energetic superpowers, what your heroic actions might be, and then collapse this mountain of assumptions and confusion. One of which is that heroic actions have to be hard or involve some sacrifice or involve some dark night of the soul, like Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, heroic. But what you just have to remember is that the hero's journey was just people around a campfire telling stories. And if the story was Erica went out on an adventure and it was great and easy, everyone goes, well, that's a boring story. Can you not tell the one of Erica when she went on a journey and she met dragon and she had to slay the dragon, then she got unconscious and then she became exhausted and she had to swallow. So say, oh yeah, we'll tell that story. But heroic stuff is actually really, it's nothing around sacrifice. It's nothing around dark night of the soul. That's just stories that we had that, and then it's understanding what your heroic actions might be. And I recognize one of my heroic actions, I did used to do a lot of end of life care. And a heroic action was my ability to sit with someone as they were dying, or they'd found out that they were about to die very soon, and hear them talking about what it was like for them about to be at their end of their life, and hear them for me to be able to sit with that person and hold that space, I think was heroic.
For sure.
But someone's heroic action might be you've not talked to your sister or your brother or someone for years, and your heroic action might be to contact them with the possibility that they will reject you. That might be heroic. So looking and say, what is heroic? Or put out that imperfect product. And what would be your superpower that would allow you to do it? And how, and what would be the assumptions and the confusion that would stop you from doing that? So it's a really interesting exploration around those three things: your energetic superpowers, the mountain of confusion and assumptions, and what would a heroic action be, and how would you do that? And I think this is a year to do that. So that's why I'm excited about it, because it's planned for this year.
And in a year of where we are legacying and leaving our mark, but also in a year where that duality is going to be in play. That's a beautiful exploration, or you've created a thing that will allow someone to do a beautiful exploration around this,
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So I am just going to read this out and honor it from Richard. I came upon this event in my Facebook feed by chance. I've not used this platform before, knowing nothing about the Connection Hub for speakers, authors, and coaches, and even less about either water or rabbits. I am committed to lifelong learning, however, and was keen to hear what you made of the current volatile global situation. Personally, I feel quite anxious about the next 12 months. And he's saying thank you to us both. That's Richard Gadd up in York. But, you know, I think the thing that you've just created, maybe, you know, and the big conversation space that you've created are things that actually help someone along to just be able to explore that kind of feeling, right?
Yeah. And one of the things I think you recognize between this year and last year was a water energy year about sustainability, and that was an external sustainability. So we were shown consequences. We were just bombarded by consequence after consequence after consequence of an outward manner in a place where we were all pretty tired. And this year it's about, okay, and what are we going to do about that as a collective? And what's the answer? And the answer is to actually find common ground with, and the solutions for the planet do not have to be perfect. We just have to get on and start doing it. And there is the difference of opinions. How do we resolve that? And it is choosing, how do we want society in the world to exist? Do we want to be tribal in our little boxes? So one of the things, I'm the co-founder of the No More Boxes movement, this idea of, we put each other in boxes. So you like this and you like this, and we become, and we have to, how's that working out for us? This is, I think this is a time to be really optimistic, because we get to play this game of dealing with duality and dealing with the big problems we have going on, and dealing with our issues around perfection, and dealing with our issues around this. And we're here. This is our watch. So let's just have a go together, having a go together.
How wonderful. Well, that is exactly why I invited you here. I've popped a whole bunch of links in for how you can be in touch with Nick, but I'm going to pop them all in again in all 3 places that this has gone live. Is there anything else that you would like to say whilst you've just got our attention?
No, I think just remember to enjoy this, have fun. Fun on your own terms.
Yay. Oh, that's a perfect way to end. As ever, Nick, I am so grateful for you sharing your wisdom and your expertise, you know, sort of with everybody, because I think it does just give a heads up in a very different way, using a slightly different perspective that just opens all of us up to indeed leave the legacy that we want to leave. So for all of you who you know, sort of feel free, I'm going to pop the link in to do a little get unstuck call if you want to talk about this a little bit more with myself. Tag Nick, tag me, tag Kelly, like just come and be part of the group, the conversation, and let us all like raise up the vibration and the standard of everything that's going on by leaving legacy in some way. I see that the sun is loving you, Nick, so I'm going to wrap us up just there. I'm going to play us out with the little jingle, but thank you all for watching, and if you're doing the hashtag replay, do let us know and ask us your questions. Many blessings to you all.
Bye.